Brother Joel has his hand up. Brother Joel.
Yes. Hey, Dr. Grimes, did I just hear you use the term FBA? And if you did,
Did
what
you
do you
say
mean by
Dr.
that?
Grimes or Dr.
I
Foster?
mean, I'm sorry, Dr. Foster.
Mhm.
Did I just hear you use the term FBA?
You did. I expected you guys were familiar with it. I used it in the context of making the distinct, not the distinction, making it clear that we understand that there is a variety in the types of people of African descent. In this
Do you,
country,
do
we
you
have
do you understand the origin of FBA?
I wasn't trying to at this moment. What I was trying to do at this moment was help us understand that people of African descent include people who identify with enslaved people in the United States and people who identify with people from various African and Caribbean countries. So just making the point that that's there, not making judgments or making a statement about the terminologies we use for those people or those different kinds or the politics thereof. Just that we all know that they're there. We've got those of us who really anchor our identity in this country. And there
Right.
are those
Well,
of us who anchor our ancestral identity in other countries. And
right.
we're
Well,
all
FBA
of
don't deal with
African descent.
FBA don't deal with any of that. What you talking about? Maybe one day we should discuss it. But if
Okay,
you don't know it, you might want to find out. Or I can do a presentation. But we need to know
that
what
would be
FBA
awesome.
means. Okay.
Yes.
All right. But it's rooted in misinformation. I just want to let you know that. That's a term none of us should be using. That's my
Okay.
opinion.
And don't we all have them? And that's why we have these wonderful conversations. But I hope you get the point that not intending to have a political statement on that term, knowing that it's charged. I hope you got the point that I'm just making that people of African descent include ancestry from various countries. And the
Yeah.
books that are
The
in this
diaspora. I'm with
archive
you.
are mostly the people who root ourselves in the United States of America. That's
Oh,
the
mhm.
majority of them, and those are the people who are writing these books. Now, over time, as there are more of us who are outside of that category, there will be more of other kinds of books. So
I
yeah,
think I
that's
think Doc to help y'all out a little better. Instead of using that term FBA, the most accurate term you can use as far as when it comes to a Black American that was born here is the term they use. It's called a freedman.
oh yeah, people use all kinds. It's never
No,
going to
no,
be
no,
that
no,
we're
no.
all using the
That that
same,
that that can only be used by ones born here.
but people use all time. I mean, we know that. Yeah, people use all kinds of phrases. You're never going to get, I'm sure people appreciate your suggestion for what terminology they should use, but yeah, you'll hear all these words and you'll see them all in these books. That's a big part of what this about. Again, it's about the variety. Oftentimes we get this sense that there's a lot more uniformity to African American families. Again, there's that. You see those through lines, but the point of reading one family at a time is you see, wow, yeah, that's these people. That's not the Joneses over here. That's this family. Wow, there really are differences. Wow, isn't this a cool story? And just delight in the people being the people. They are not using the same terms. You will see some of these books that are so poorly written, you think, is this English? But is it a story about their family? Is it a story that brings just richness and glory? Yeah. So yeah, we'll have that, and you'll have all kinds of terms that people don't like. And I mean, right, that's just life. And,
Um,
and the thing that I really love about this, again, that typically when people study genres, it's so that they can then become a critic of the genre. Well, good examples of this have these three elements. And so I'll say, well, this is a well-written one, or this is a good one, or this is a bad one, because it does these. I love that as a genre expert, I am not a critic in the sense of, well, this book is better than that one and that one. No, not that I don't, I get into, there are entities that do give awards. My book was nominated for award, but I understand that they all do the same thing for families. And my mission is to get that thing done for more of us in the family, not tell somebody else how they should have written their book and what their terminology should have been.
Question, and actually, in terms of this is related to like when you examine these books. Um, One experience that I've had is that I have some cousins who've done some research, family research, and we come from a place. Our ancestors lived on a place called Deal Island in Maryland, and it's a kind of remote type community. And I have one cousin that there's a group that their perspective is that, well, they lived on the island in cooperation with the whites that were there on the island. And they talk about the whites gave, hand-me-down things to them and how they survived because of their interaction with the whites and, basically a grateful attitude and all of those things about their relationship with the whites. And so, I listen to their perspective and how they tell the story, but then my own research showed tension between the two groups on the island. And I had evidence of all kinds of bad things that were committed against the blacks on the island, including members of my family. And so in terms of looking at the dynamic there in perspective, it's like in telling the story and going back and doing the research, would you say that it is a function of, let's say, the view you bring to the table, your perspective that you bring to the table and interpretation, or is it a function of the evidence that you find to support just basically just telling the truth? And
That's
where do
the
you see
exact
that?
same coin.
Mhm.
It's interpreting the evidence. That second step, again, heroize the ancestors and then read the record through that ancestral lens. That's what we're doing in these books. So, reading the record through whatever lens you're choosing, you as an author might choose the lens that says, I'm going to find the ways these people were effing us over. And with that lens, you will find it. It's there. We all know that. And you will highlight those stories. Someone else will choose a lens of cooperation, of love. Where are the places where we got along? And they will choose to highlight those stories. You may find some book that has both stories. They might have them in equal portion. One might have one more or the other. It's all about the author and the family. But we all know that life is such that all those stories are out there. It's not a question of, did people work together cooperatively or were they always fighting? We know that it's all of the above, and everything in life is about which story are you choosing to tell and retell and resonate in, not which story happened. If you think that's what life is about, you're missing it. History is about and genealogy and memorializing and monumentizing is about what do you choose to focus on? What do you choose to hold up and perpetuate and help other people do? I see a hand up again. So yeah, it's
Yeah,
did I answer your question? Wait, before we move on, sorry, go ahead.
no,
Well,
what
I
I'm
just think
saying,
it's just a discussion to have. But go ahead, Brother Myron.
but oh, that's a great situation you're talking about because basically, I think what Dr. Foster is actually bringing forth more than anything from what I hear is actually
You're
creating.
breaking up.
Yeah, it's hard to hear. What can we do? Can you do something as the host?
No, I think
Can we
it's
make
no.
sure everybody's muted?
What I'm saying is, what I'm saying is, create that hero in the people that you're writing about that were African people, and create that hero so people can grow and build a better perspective of who we are as a people. That's where that they may have been brutalized, but they actually did not retaliate. They loved them. They grew up to a sense of being better than them by loving them through the brutalization of what they were dealing with. So basically, I see what Dr. Foster is saying in reference to the heroism in reference to our people and developing that mindset where we as a people have an understanding of who we can be and what we can grow to be in reference to everything. And seeing this in these writings will create that heart and that mindset in us to be better, to be more attuned to the positive instead of creating that negative perspective of where we've always been.
But why is it negative to think about defending oneself?
Amen.
Not saying it's negative about defending yourself, brother. I'm saying that what I'm saying is, brother, there's a different story in every person's heart. And if your story is always defending, and not seeing the creation of making you a better person, a better man, and having the love for your people to create that love in them, then that's a bad place to be.
Not
That's a
really, because I think that, like Dr. Foster mentioned, we're dealing with two sides of the same coin. So when you're talking to martial arts, we're talking about yin and yang. We talk about things, forces that operate within the same sphere, but one may take more time against another. One may take a different point in time against another. When we describe it as negative, when we're talking to the youth, I'm only saying this to the group. When we start to explain what we're talking about here to the youth, if you don't give them something to feel like they can stand on, where we're not calling it negative, and at the same time we want to call it love as the opposite of this, then it kind of leaves out some things I think going down the road that have to be said.
Yeah, but maybe I used the wrong word in reference to being negative.
Let me
Maybe,
give an example of
yeah,
something.
go ahead.
Um, okay, like let's say uh, when in the beginning, when we started out, I made mention about the larger picture as far as the Black history overall in general, in terms of how these stories connect into Black history overall in general. And I'm reminded of something that Dr. Ivan Van Sertima used to always say. He said, that which happened in the past and that which we believe happened in the past conditions the living present and therefore the future. So history is not a dead thing. And he would always go on and emphasize a quote from Professor Cheikh Anta Diop that said that we must rescue and reconstruct Black history based on facts and empirical evidence, not in a protest posture, not based on myths and half-truths, but grounded in facts and reality. And one of the things that Van Sertima would always emphasize is that if we look at history and we romanticize history, we distort the history, we look at it from a mythological standpoint, it removes us from being grounded in reality and it impacts our ability to move forward, our ability to make progress going into the future. So when I look at these stories and I look at the various different ways that these stories are told, the perspectives that they're told from, I think there are multiple ways to analyze these stories. I like the agape method system. But I think there are multiple ways to look at these stories and examine these stories. And what I see is something for this whole project, Dr. Foster, that you're working on. I see it as something that opens a door that that has a whole lot of other things that it could expand into that are needed in our community. Like, for example, I think you talked about there were 1,000 or something plantations across the country, and that a lot of the stuff centers of the travel and genealogy stories around these kind of things. But there are like 179 slave ports in the Americas where Black people were delivered as slaves. There are 79 along the west coast of Africa alone. So if we talk about a tourism industry, we talk about it from a commercial standpoint. You like companies like 23andMe is the only publicly traded genealogical company. The others are private, like Ancestry.com and African Ancestry and MyHeritage. They're privately owned companies. 23andMe is a publicly traded company, and it actually has multiple companies under its umbrella. But in terms of looking at it from the standpoint of like these books and of expanding that into tourism, expanding that into other educational programs that can help with homeschools, that can be part of high school curriculums, regular public school curriculums, or even college curriculums, so that we get the information out so that people can begin to explore their heritage and like Brother MJ was asking questions about how to get started and all those kinds of things. I have an active ancestry.com that we can just kind of get together and talk, get some basic information, and we can start pulling together the tree and putting together a genealogical tree. And you could even do the DNA and get your DNA test, do a tree, and just start the process of research. Because I just think that it's something that we all should be doing. We all should delve into and try to learn, more about our ancestry. I know Brother RJ. Um, I spoke to someone that I think yesterday or day before with Brother RJ and Brother RJ's family, and we were hoping to get them on tonight to talk about because they have ancestry that was written multiple generations ago that's been maintained in a book in their family and is updated from time to time. Uh, but all of these are things I think in terms of one of the question I'll leave with Dr. Foster is that how do we funnel stuff to you? Like if there are other people that are trying to do books or whatever, because you might be able to do a project that actually deals with encouraging people to write their books and helping to publish those books.
Mm,
You're muted. You're muted. Unmute yourself. Oh,
you're muted.
You can email me in the meantime, but then after the 9th, post it on the site. Anybody who's got a book to share or any information, conversation, all of that. That's precisely what it's for.
okay.
To gather and talk about, say whatever needs to be said about this thing.
Mhm.
Um, well, I guess it's been said enough. So yeah, just know that there are many different aspects of the whole vast genealogy world. And I just want to keep emphasizing that this is not all of that leading up to a book. This is not except in the sense that it's helping gain access to the HBCU records for our ancestors.
Brother
I just
RJ.
Beyond that, the records, we've got so many people dealing with them, with how to use them, how to gather advice. So this is not about how to do a book. This is about enjoying and studying and reading and discussing the books that exist and that are being published every day because there is such a vast industry that's helping them get done. It's just that we're not that pipeline. except in the sense of, the motivation, the excitement that like, wow, look what can happen for your family. Look what it can be. But yeah,
Mhm.
we're not trying to step on toes and repeat what's already out there in terms of here's a document you can use to research.
This is Brother
Oh, I see
RJ.
Dr. Grimes with the
Thank you
hand
again.
up.
I'm sorry. Well, I don't know. Hey, excuse me, Dr. Forster, but uh, I'm savvy on a lot of things, but putting my hand up is not one of them on this call. So I would
You're
like to
by
jump in
yourself.
if you don't mind and have a couple of memorable moments of what we're doing here because it's very historic and this is very timely for what is happening in this hour. And I want to thank you so much for you hooking up with Reverend Brother Hall to bring this opportunity to all of us. And we had
Amen.
this in our family, and that we were talking, several of our family members alluded to with Brother Hall several days ago about we have what you were talking about. We have this in place. My great great grandfather did those ledgers. He did those conversations around the fireside chat. He sat around under the bush arbor, called the bush shelter. They started churches. They started small businesses. They had lawyers in the family, doctors in the family, and I'm glad that you came forth because now you have given afforded us an opportunity to be able to get those ledgers and journals away from certain people who I don't want to sound ill towards them if they're listening, is to hoard them or say open it up where it can become a book where all of us, all the family members can buy in and give conversation and come forward. And I really appreciate you lending to us how to do that process so that they don't feel that they can hold that Bible to themselves or hold those ledgers to themselves only, but they can open it up, share it, let the young people give input around the fireside. Thank you.
You're so welcome. And yeah, there are conversations to be had as well among authors about what their experiences were like as they were doing the books. Again, oftentimes they end up being pretty much a one-man show. Um, there's a lot of reaching out and asking for stuff, and there's not a lot of cooperation necessarily, again, average, generally speaking. And then of course, after it's published, people come out of the woodwork. Oh, I got this story and that story. And that's another reason this is such a good resource because it's things that could be posted that are associated with the book. Okay, this story didn't get in, or this is an expansion thereof. So we can continue these conversations around the books. And that's another thing that's really so cool too. This these books that are published in the 19th, 20th, and 21st century, these are going to be the foundational books that the next generations of books will be, referring back to. So that's really cool to watch happen too. The intergenerational nature of the books. Different branches of that same family will have their own books that will connect back to that one. So